All right, man. It's another week of fantasy football. The NFL is just giving us so many games, calculator. We got to get into this stuff in just a moment, man. But how you doing, by the
Absolutely.
way?
Hey, greetings and salutations, Mr. 411. And if you are listening again at this time, congratulations, because that means you want some information for what is in the majority of leagues the semifinals of your quest for the championship.
Exactly. Well, today is December 22nd, 2021. This is the 401 Sports Wars show, and it's just around the corner. We'll give you some info. Let's get it. Calculator. We have studs and duds today. We have waiver wire. Man, we got COVID protocols. There's all kind of stuff going on. But
Yep.
you're here to help everyone find their way
And that's
through
why
the
we had,
playoffs.
and that's why we had to do it on a Wednesday because we had to try and get some information behind us before we can actually offer and just reminder people this information is current as of now. Things could always change with things that happen after this show is posted, so we're going to deal with what the information we have now.
Absolutely. And with that said, we welcome everybody to the show, and we're going to help you out with your fantasy, decisions that you need to make and choices. And like Calculator just said, if you're playing now, you're playing for something.
Hmm.
So we're going to try to help you just get that one little extra edge to be in the winner's circle. And trust me, Calculators played in, like, I remember one year you played in like 30 different leagues. So,
Yeah.
if you have that capability to keep up with 30 something leagues, I would advise everybody, to do the following.
Like, subscribe, notify.
Exactly. All right, Calculator, the floor is yours, brother.
Oh, hey, just if anybody follows our one of our other shows on the NFL Pick'em, one of the sneaky ones I had up there, I said, hey, the Saints, yeah, they were going to keep it close against the Buccaneers. They've always given a problem. So if you just want to talk about just straight duds, just look no further than the Tampa Bay offense with Mike Evans hurt, Godwin hurt and out for the year, Fournette hurt. And that affects Brady. Brady is people call him the goat, but a lot of that has to do when he has the parts to make him better, and he just didn't have the parts. And the Saints, that's one team that's not scared of him. They've proven that the past 2 years. As far as studs, uh, Cooper Cup still doing his
Whew.
thing.
Wow.
Travis Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, pretty much anybody that was playing on a Thursday night, you got a
Oh, man.
nice little lead in your leagues. Although I was actually looking around, a lot of people that had Kelsey, believe it or not, were out of the playoffs because Kelsey was so bad down the stretch. He really hurt people. It was one of those things that if you had Kelsey, you either had to buy because you were doing so good at the beginning of the year and you were able to keep your head above water. Like I have him in one league, and that was the case. So I didn't need him. So I didn't get his performance to go to the next week. It is what it is. But you're thankful you don't play even if you have points on your bench if you have a bye week. But yeah. Again, more stats. Jonathan Taylor. If people were relying on Jonathan Taylor, they were kind of disappointed at the beginning of the game. We always know the Patriots shut down the main thing, and they pretty much was going to let Wentz do what he wanted through the air. Although Wentz was still ineffective throughout much of the game, he was effective enough to keep the lead. But then Jonathan Taylor's big run at the end of the game kind of iced it and helped his owners. But it was just one of those. It was weird weeks. A lot of people were winning with 110, 115 fantasy points when they've been averaging 130 and 140. And it was just one of those weeks because a lot of times if you were doing bad, hopefully you were playing somebody else that was hurt just as well. It's just one of those weeks that if you were lucky enough to either have a bye or if you're lucky enough to squeak through with a win, congratulations. Just one of my leagues, just to case in point, Mr. 411, in one of my quarterfinal games, I scored 39 points for the week. You may say, how's that possible? Well,
How is that possible?
yeah, well, Waddle, you know, uh, COVID. So guess who I put in? I put in Julio Jones, who
Right,
got
right,
a 0. I had Tyler Lockett, COVID. Had to put him in, and I put that the wide receiver that apparently did good last week, but didn't do good for this week. Bateman for the Ravens, and
right.
pretty much nothing. I mean, it was. I had Darren Waller, so of course he was out again, and then did my place to replace him with uh, Miss Moore, I'm so disgusted. I can't even remember the guy I put. All I know is he didn't get a lot of points because I had
Right.
39 points for the week, Mister 411. And then of course I had to stream quarterbacks in that league because I'm a streaming quarterback guy. And Wentz, I just touched on him. He may have had one touchdown, but he barely cracked 100 yards. So it should. And all those people that had Lamar Jackson. Hey, if you had Lamar Jackson and you had the cojones to start Huntley, congratulations, because
Ooh,
Huntley, the score he put up, Lamar Jackson's only gotten that type of score 2 times in Lamar Jackson's career. That's what kind of game Huntley had.
yeah.
But he might just make our waiver wire list, Mister 411. We will. That is
Mm,
soon to come.
we will soon find out.
Yes.
All right. Well, I mean, what are some of the players? What are some of the key players that need to be picked up for this week?
Oh, hey. Well, I'm gonna start with people. I mentioned earlier about streaming quarterbacks. Everybody knows he's had a good nickname a couple years ago because he torched people in the playoffs. Big Ben Rottenberger. They call him Rottenberger because of his performance on the road, normally on the road. Well, guess what? He's only 44% roster, so he makes the list. And why does he make it? Well, he gets his points in garbage time. And guess what? They're playing Kansas City. So they will be behind and he will be throwing early and often. Sometimes it works, sometimes it isn't. But hey, he scored 28 points in his 2 of last 3 road games, which is important. At least 20 points in 4 of his last 6 outings overall. Yeah, won't be a easy matchup on the road, but they will be behind. He will be throwing. And I'm thinking you could do worse. Hey, if you're the Lamar Jackson owner and you're worried, or if you're Dak Prescott and you're worried, Big Ben, I'm not saying he can trust him, but if you have no other options, if you were one of those that invested in Tannehill, Wentz, like I say, you could do a lot worse than Ben Roethlisberger. And again, he's available in 56% of the leagues. And hey, we talked about maybe he's on a wire. Why not put Tyler Huntley out there? We just said what he did last week. Only Lamar Jackson's been able to do that 2 times in his entire career. 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns. The defense is awful. So what do they have to do? They're going to be in comeback mode. And when they do that hurry up, Huntley is perfectly built for that. But again, you really can't start him if Lamar Jackson's starting. However, if he's out, if they say, hey, Huntley's good, we're still not out of the playoff race. We're still firmly in it. And Huntley showed good command of the offense. Lamar Jackson, why don't you sit and because they're going to want a 100% Lamar Jackson, because if he's not 100%, we saw what he can do 2 weeks before when he wasn't 100%, which isn't good. So Huntley, if he's out there and you're a Lamar Jackson owner, I think that's a perfect guy. He is 7% roster, so in 93% of leagues, he is available. All right, I'm deep diving, Mr. 411, for another
Ooh,
quarterback. His name is Cam Newton. Hey, we want to talk about high floor guys? He's as high floor as he get. Yeah, he's terrible. We know that. But guess what? He rushes in touchdowns at least once a week. Even when they're not close, he's still, he can make them
he's
from
getting in.
outside. That's right. And they're playing from behind. And guess what? They're playing your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You think they're going to be behind in this game? I believe so. He's 42% rostered, so he's only available in 58%. So yeah, he might not be out there, but hey, in the deepest of leagues, you can't ask for much better if you're looking for a high floor type of guy. And
But you know
hey,
what? But you know
what's
what, though,
that?
calculator on
What's
that
that?
on that situation, a lot of people might have decided to jump ship on Cam, so
Yeah,
he may be floating out there.
yeah,
So
but see, and that's the thing. I don't think people are going to drop him if they own him. because he still scored almost 30 points last week.
Yeah,
With this
I
bad
mean,
team. But yeah, a couple weeks ago when they were talking about how bad he was, somebody might have given up on him, or somebody might have gotten Patrick Mahomes, and they say, okay, I don't need another quarterback now because Patrick Mahomes got it right. So yeah, he might be 58% owned, or yeah, 58% available in some leagues. It might jump up if people are dropping him because if you look at his stat line and not his fantasy points, it was bad for another
yeah.
week.
hmm We take all time. Garbage time is included. It is
Yes.
valuable in fantasy sports.
Points are points. That's right. So, and another quarterback. Hey, I'm a matchup guy. Hey, if you're a streaming quarterback, I like matchups. And look at this, Jared Goff. Yes,
Wow, we're golfing today.
yes, sneaky upside. Well, guess why? Because he's playing Atlanta Falcons. Now, word to caution, he did get put on the COVID list, but new protocols are in place. With him being vaccinated, which word on the street is he doesn't have to jump through as much hurdles to get back in there, and he's riding hot, and he knows it, right? So hey, uh, the Falcons are number 31st in allowing quarterback points. In other words, there's only one other team that allows more points through the air to opposing quarterbacks. Goff has 25 points in 2 of his last 3 games, and hey, if I'm a matchup guy, hey, I'm taking Jared Goff above Cam Newton. If he plays, the reason he's a little bit lower is because we still don't have news if he's going to be able to play. And then my last quarterback, I got to mention another guy that does well in garbage, another guy with high floor. Justin Fields, yes,
Yeah.
42% roster. So what does that mean? He over in half of leagues, he is available. Yes, he has scored at least 18 fantasy points in 2 games, and both of them were against Green Bay and Minnesota, and he'll likely be in that range against Seattle. And the reason I say that is they've been ravaged by their secondary has been ravaged by COVID. Some people might be back, some people might not. We don't know, but we do know Seattle I think will be able to put up points and force them to play with them. So if you actually look at Fields' 2 starts prior to his rib injury, he had scored at least 18 fantasy points in 14 or in 4 starts in a row. So take that for what it's worth. When he's healthy, he don't mind running, and he can get those yardage through
Yeah.
on the ground, which is very helpful in fantasy. So hey, he's a low end starter, deeper leagues. I personally like the matchup against Seattle because they're more of a run stop, try to beat them through the air type deal. And I think Fields, Allen Robinson should be back. Mooney will be back. They have one great tight end in Komet and one decent tight end in Jimmy Graham. So they can move the ball. And then when everybody's covered, if you're playing them man to man, what does man to man defense means? It means the defense turns their back to the quarterback, and if there's a hole open, Fields can take off and get you those points in a hurry. So that's another low end guy that could be available if you are a streaming quarterback. If you're a guy with Mahomes, no. Hey, you might be worried about Tom Brady. Do not worry. Tom Brady will be fine. It was the
Yeah.
Saints defense. They don't have to play them again. If you have one of those rock solid Justin Herbert type deal, don't worry. You're starting those guys. The guys that we're recommending here are for streamers only.
That's right.
Okay.
And look, you was talking about the running ability of Fields and taking advantage of the yards on the the yards and the points from the ground. So that leads us to the running backs calculator. So who's your
Absolutely.
first running back that you would advise people to take a look at?
Oh, hey, stop what you're doing right now. We run. We do not
Uh-oh.
walk. Spend everything you got if you're in a fab. It's Ronald Jones, baby. He's coming back. He
Uh-oh.
is back. Mr. Leonard Fournette is out for 1 to 2 weeks. The old saying, week to week. The old saying to that is that just means it's 7 times worse than day to day. So yes, Ronald Jones is back for your fantasy playoffs. If you've held on to him, if you were the one that drafted him and held on to him, congratulations. It is paying off. If he was dropped in your league, but you have all your fab budget, congratulations. Go and get him. Ronald Jones is the man. And I can tell you right now, he's not available in my league. But look, if you take his 36% rostered, meaning 64% of leagues he's available. Simple math. That means more than half. So yes, he is the top, not just the top running back, the top player overall. Hey, he showed last year. If he doesn't fumble the ball, and if you look at what he did last year when Leonard Fournette was out, with nagging injuries, he was phenomenal. He just has to hold on to the ball, and he's the one of guy. If he holds on to the ball and he doesn't have competition, he's a 15 to 20 point guy because
Easy.
that's right. Yeah, they might not be as potent offensively without Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, but they still have word on the street. Antonio Brown coming back. Word on the
Yep.
street. They got Scotty Miller still there and healthy and can do it. He's familiar with the system. So they still got guys that can. Of course, they got Tom Brady with 3 tight ends that he can throw to. So yeah, they'll be up and down. And I'm thinking, in 4 games without Fournette, and just we'll do the small sample size of 2020, Jones had at least 19 total touches, 84 yards in each outing, and scored at least 14 points per game. If you can get that type of production on the waiver wire in fantasy playoffs, now's the time to take it. Yes, it's not the most great matchup against Carolina this week, but you know what? He's juicy enough to where he'll get you double digits in there. So another guy is a speculative ad, but he's more of a block person. Because I guarantee a lot of owners of Austin Eckler's are in playoffs, right? Well, he just got placed on the COVID-19 list. Again, we don't know. I don't know if he's vaccinated. I've been trying to look it up. I couldn't get it in time of this show, so a lot of these are being hush hush. But he could try. Eckler could try to get in there, but if he doesn't, right? Jackson showed what kind of upside he could have with a limited Eckler. Eckler was limited coming off an injury. I mean, hey, 13 carries, 86 yards, 1 catch, 13 yards on 1 target. Yes, if Eckler's out, he could share touches with Joshua Kelly. But if anybody saw that Kansas City game and was crushed when they let this, I call him a bum, Joshua Kelly carry that ball on the goal line and give it away. Yes, I am sour about it. I had money
Yeah,
in
it
that
sounds
game.
like it.
Mr. 411 hurt me on that one. So yeah, so Joshua Kelly could take, but he's not going to take. He's not going to take goal lines anymore. Goal line is going to be strictly for Eckler if he's healthy, and now Justin Jackson if Eckler's not healthy. So yeah, I like Jackson. He's a strict upside. Now, if I have him, and I'm not an Eckler owner. I'm picking him up. And I'll tell you right now, I'm in the semifinals in my home league. The guy that is the number 2 seed, I'm not playing him this week, but hey, I won't be sad if I don't see him in championship game because he's a Jonathan Taylor owner. He's an Austin Eckler owner. He's a CD Lamb. So he's got some good players, right?
Yeah.
Hey, if he wants to lose in the second round to a team that I think is inferior, I have put this way, he has 100% fab, and I'll just tell people a strategy that I'm doing with this particular situation. He has 100% fab. He's not a guy that works waiver wires, and why is he in the championship? Is because he has Jonathan Taylor who's been healthy. He has Austin Eckler who's been healthy. He's had a very lucky healthy year with his run backs. So what am I going to do? I have 52%, or I have $52. So what I'm doing, I am spending $51 on Justin Jackson. And the reason I'm doing that is I am going to make, if he's going to get him, I want him to spend 52 or more. I have a higher waiver priority. So if he spends 51, I get him. I'm making him spend 52. Well, you got to say, why are you doing that? Well, in case one of his guys gets injured for next week, I'll have more fab than him. So I can do another block. So yes, I'm
Right.
either blocking him to this week. I'm going to try and block him next week. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to next week right now. I got to look at now. So now I'm gonna try a block now in case that does come out. And hey, if he doesn't bid on him, I'm okay with him. You can't take your fab with you to next year, right? So hey,
Right.
I'm making him spend more so that he cannot, so to block him possibly for next week as well. So yeah, but if I get him, then I've already blocked him for this week, and then he won't. And then I don't have to worry about next week, hopefully.
Yes, sir.
So just a little strategy there on the block that you can do if you're in the playoffs. Another guy, another backup. Yes, Joe Mixon tweaked an ankle. Still kind of limited. Did not practice yesterday. But if he's out, Piron would be a strong flex option. He's working in tandem with Mixon currently on passing down, has 8 catches in 3 games. He has done well in extended action during the season, 2 games with at least 12 total touches, including week 7 at Baltimore, where he scored 14 points. It's not an easy matchup against the Ravens. We know that, right? But hey, Chris Evans, their pass catcher's out. Mixon, if he's out, Piron's a fine start based on volume alone, even though it's not the matchup. We always say volume is king when it comes to running backs. Oh, and welcome back, Mr. Jeff Wilson. For all those people that picked him up in IR, rode him through the bad stuff. If he's on there, yes, he rewarded you last week. Yeah, and another flex option, right? He had 21 carries, 110 yards, and a touchdown, 2 catches, 9 yards against our favorite defense in the Atlanta Falcons, right? And, he said, I felt like my old self, right? Hey, it's not an easy matchup. Titans, they show that they can stop the run. They can't stop the pass. So, that could be it. But Shanahan shows that he is committed to a run. And when he's committed to the run, and he has a bell cow, he usually rides them throughout the way. So yes, Debo's still a factor out of the backfield as well. But hey, if you can get a 20 touch Jeff Wilson, he'll accrue a decent stat line. And then a man, we couldn't even get the picture of him, Mr. 411, because that's how new he is to the
Yeah.
NFL of all people. Craig Reynolds of the
Who?
Detroit Lions. Yes, exactly. Yes, the reason he's at 45%, he was at 0% last week. He's at 45% this week. A lot of people picked him up last week because of what he did. But there's a caveat. The reason he's lower on our list is, hey, Swift could be back. Jamal Williams is back, so the field got a little crowded in there. And then another guy that was 0% last week, or for people that weren't on the waiver wire and they drafted. They just forgot to drop him, Duke Johnson.
Oh
What
my
a
goodness.
play, right? I mean, when you have the entire backfield of the Miami Dolphins out, with the exception of Gaskins, he came in 22 carries, 107 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 catch, 20 yards on his only target. Yes, he could continue to get, but a reason. Why is he? Hey, calculator, did you just read 2 touchdowns on Saturday? I said, yes, I did. But let me tell you, the whole the coach Flores actually come out and said, everybody that's back now is going to touch the ball. Man, we could get Malcolm Brown with touches. We could get Ahmed for touches along with Gaskins and Duke Johnson. You don't know who's going to get touches. And guess what? Look at the opponent. The number one team against fantasy running backs, the New Orleans Saints. Just look what they did to Tampa Bay's running backs last week. They do not. They're going to make New Orleans sits that front seven and say you're going to have to beat us through the air. So yeah, not only is he going to be sharing touches with three other guys. He's got one of the worst possible matchups, and you cannot afford that at this time of stage. But hey, one more throw shot, and this guy I'm about to talk about, I picked him up 2 weeks ago. Actually, I picked him up as soon as McCaffrey hit the IR. You can say, calculator, isn't Chuba Hubbard the main running back for Carolina? I said, yeah, if they're in a close game, but Amir Abdullah is the or the running back of choice in catch-up mode, which they were last week, as he caught a nice little touchdown to kind of was a nice little help if you did have to start Amir Abdullah with all those COVID cases last week, which I did. Hey,
Yeah.
and guess what? They're playing the Buccaneers. So you tell me if they're going to be in catch-up mode next week. I think they would. And guess what? Tampa Bay stops running backs that run the ball. They are susceptible to running backs out of the backfield, which is what Amir Abdullah specializes in. So they're going to be in catch-up mode. Hey, 6 catches in 2 games without Christian McCaffrey. 4 catches for 48 yards and touchdown at Buffalo last week. Valuable weapon. And if they're chasing points, the Buccaneers, against the Buccaneers, Amir Abdullah is there. All right. And we got to go to the wide receivers selection because Oman St. Brown, yes, he is still available in 49% of leagues. So, yes, but if he's out there, hey, I know he's out there because I picked him up in one of my survivor leagues, which is a big money league that I was fortunate enough to move on in. And I picked up St. Brown. So he was available in a big money league. He could be available in your league. Of course, that's a run heavy league, so a lot of people use roster spots on running backs. But anyways, Jared Goff, he had a big week against Falcons, and his main guy was Amon St. Brown. He listen, get this, 15 points per points per PPR points in 3 games in a row. Not 2 out of 3, not 5 out of 6. This is 3 in a row. 14 targets, 14 targets, 15 targets in those
Ooh,
games. Yes, yes.
target monster.
That's right. Volume is king for running backs. Targets are king for wide receiver. So hey, yeah, you can also look at Josh Reynolds because it is such a favorable matchup, but he's more of the touchdown guy. If you're in a PPR league, I recommend St. Brown if he is available out there. Okay, another one that has turned it around recently, Marquez, Valdez, Scantlin. Yes, 20 PPR points in 2 of 4 games, 3 games with at least 7 targets in that span. Hey, he's a boomer bust number 3 guy. Word of caution, he just got put on the COVID list. So we don't know how that's going to work out, but I like his chances if he's available. Selling on him, even if you can pick him up and don't start him this week, he'll definitely be back next week for your championship game. And anytime you have Aaron Rodgers throwing you the ball and you're the number 2 to 3 guy who can get, and he's the boom guy, he's the touchdown guy. Rodgers is starting to like him more and more. I would like to have that on my bench. And another guy, he's a guy that I picked up in one league, and unfortunately, I'm out of the playoffs because I did not use him. I used OBJ when he got off the COVID list. So that, yeah, even some of the best of us make the wrong decisions. But hey, if he's available, Gabriel Davis, he's only rostered in 20%. 26% of the leagues. Quick math, that means 74% of leagues. He's available. Valuable weapon lately. Fantasy managers can be delighted in a touchdown in 3 games in a row, 15 targets, 10 catches, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns in the last 2 outings, and they weren't cupcakes. That was Tampa Bay, and that was Carolina. Hey, he also scored against the Patriots week 13, 2 catches, 30 yards on 4 targets. So, hey, another word on the street, Cole Beasley out with COVID. Cole Beasley
Wow.
unvaccinated. Cole Beasley definitely out next week's matchup. So Gabriel Davis will be a target monster in that league against New England. But hey, I think he's worth a add as he's his target share is only going to go out up with Cole Beasley. And then we talked about Godwin, who's out for the year with his ACL. Mike Evans is hurt. Hey, Scotty Miller, I mentioned him earlier. He's got a report. He's played before. Yeah. Tyler Johnson is only 1% rostered. Rashad Perriman, 1% rostered. Hey, Scotty Miller's 0% rostered. Okay. So
So
yeah,
that means he's
that's right.
ready,
Take your pick
willing
of the
to
three.
play.
If you that's right. If you got these guys that are going to be on COVID, you Tyreek Hill owners out there who's on COVID, you don't know if he's back. And hey, people say I could start Hardiman and say, hey, he's not Tyreek Hill, he's not a replacement, and heck, you never know, he might go on COVID later down the week, and that's going to be even harder for him to come back. At least Tyreek Hill has some time to get back. But yeah, Scotty Miller. Hey, as you can see, he's so unrosterable. We couldn't even find his picture for you people. So yeah, pretty interesting there. Take a pick of your wide receivers, but they all should be available for Tampa Bay. But again, boomer bust. Next one. Hey, you gotta go to Jacksonville. Hey, Laquan Treadwell, 2% rostered, meaning 98% unrostered. He's their most consistent TPPR points in 3 games in a row. Hey, he hadn't scored a touchdown, but a flex option as a number 3 guy can be good. Season high 9 targets, week 15 against Houston, 6 catches, 57 yards, deep formats. And hey, guess what? They play your Jets this week. That's always a nice matchup. And hey, we saw his picture earlier, Mr. 411. Jacoby Myers. Yes.
There he
Yes,
is.
he's 54% owned, but hey, a lot of people might have dropped him on the bye week, still out there lingering because he hadn't made a big. But hey, Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar are out. That is, the Patriots decide to throw against the Bills. Mac Jones attempted 3 passes. It'll be to Myers though. He had 12 targets, last week against the Colts, finished 6 catches, 44 yards. Could be a low end PPR league. They are going to have to throw. I hadn't seen an updated weather report, but from what I hear is it's not going to be nearly as bad as it was a few weeks ago. Mac Jones is going to have to pass to keep close. And hey, gotta give it up to our hometown boy, Marquez Callaway. That's right. A lot of people want to say Marquez. No, my daughter went to school with him, and she corrected me when I called him Marquez on draft day. She said that it's Marquez Callaway.
Quiz.
So yeah, hey, I knew the guy in middle school. The guy, he's a great guy. Unfortunately, Mr. 411 took him ahead of me in our 411 sports league, so I only got to own him in 2 leagues this year. I held on to him in both leagues, and I'm glad I did. Just as a hey, I'm also a Saints fan. If people are tuning in lately, I am a Saints fan, so it's glad that a hometown guy from Warner Robins can go and play in the NFL and do well. Hey, 9 targets, six
Yeah.
catches, 112 yards, week 15 against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hey, all they needed was Taysom Hill to unlock that potential, Mr. 411. we'll see. We'll see how it goes in week 16 against Miami because it is a tough matchup. But hey, we've deeper leagues. You could do worse because this could be a sign of things to come. Because he showed that he can when given the opportunity, he can get open. So but yeah,
Yeah.
all those people in there. See, you can say, "Oh, it's a great waiver wire week" because there's a lot of options. However, when you have a big waiver wire week, a lot of times it's because a lot of people got injured, which happened this week. So that's the bad side. It's like, yeah, it's a good and a bad. It's good you have a lot of waiver wires, but it's because it was bad because a lot of people got hurt. So this is actually helpful for those lower seeds. This week is going to hit your higher seeds for the people that had that first round bye that were Tyreek Hill owners, COVID list, Kelsey owners, COVID list. I actually have the dang Kansas City kicker, Butner, COVID list. So yeah, even if you're a kicker out there, we don't do kickers on this show, just because it's a crapshoot on kickers. You just get a guy with a good matchup and see where it goes. But for my guy, Zerline is actually available in all the leagues that I have Buckner, so I'm picking up Zerline this week. So that might be an option for a lot of people out there if you need a kicker. Zerline off the top of my head, and hey, you could always go with the backup in Kansas City. His name's Fry. Scotty Fry, I think he was perfect in the AAFL 2 years ago. So he was actually picked up in 4 teams. He was their coach. They call him the COVID kicker because they had him on the
Yeah.
practice squad in case their kicker got COVID. Kansas City picked him up 2 weeks ago. Said, hey, we're in a playoff run. Let's get a kicker to the practice because a lot of people don't put kickers on the practice squad. They literally paid him to be on the practice squad, and guess what? Butker is unvaccinated. So he's 10-day man. So we know that Butker's not kicking. So hey, Fry could get you some points. High powered offense. So and that's all you can ask for as kicker is just a team that's on a high powered offense to get you some points.
That's right, calculator. And man, that was a lot to cover today. There's a lot of information. But like we said earlier, when we said this even on our last show, when you're dealing with your waiver wire and free agent pickups, you have to put in there. You have to calculate,
Mm-hmm.
put into your calculation to the COVID protocols and things like that because it's changing by the minute. So you have to stay
Yeah,
on top of that. But there's plenty of
absolutely.
options available. Plenty of options available to you.
And that's why we're on a time limit, Mister 41. I know, so that's why I may have talked fast, but I'm trying to get all the people as much information as possible in the time frame we have.
Yep, exactly. No problem at all. And as you can see, we had our sponsor because of the time frame that we had. We had our sponsor, and everything was flowing through there. And definitely support Heavenly Spa Mobile, 2484 Ingleside Avenue, Building A, Suite 101A, Macon, Georgia 31204. Latanya can be reached at 478-747-9231. That is 478-747-9231. Heavenly Spa Mobile, where relaxation is
It's
the
the key.
key. All
Yep.
right. All right. We thank Kevin Spot Mode. We thank Zingo TV. We thank everyone for supporting the show. Calculator, it was great for you to come on during the holiday season. I bid you a happy holidays. And same thing for all the listeners that
All the
we
listeners, happy holidays. This is season to be, hey, we always talk about, yeah, this is a fantasy show, but we're also friends of the people. We know people want you to enjoy the holidays as well.
That's right. It's the reason. Think of your reason for the season. And
Reason for the season. Yep.
that's right. And we hope that you are greasing your pockets too. So uh, keep track of us, keep track of our fantasy shows, keep track of our crossing the lines edition, where we help you fatten your pockets with the friendly wagers as well. You can
Yep.
catch the calculator myself on that show as well. So you stay tuned. We thank everybody for watching. He's the calculator. I am Mr. 411. We thank you all for listening and watching. You have a great holiday week, and we're out of here.
Bye, everyone.